Hockey looked very different when the N.H.L. played its first games 100 years ago. Arenas were smaller and darker. The players were also smaller, averaging about 5'9" and 160 pounds. Even so, the best of them played close to 60 minutes a game. Small rosters and few substitutions meant the game was slower. Equipment was limited and rather primitive, providing only minimal protection. Players did not hit nearly as hard as they do today. The rules were different too. Forward passing was not yet permitted in the N.H.L., it would begin to be phased in during the 1918-19 season. When play began with 2 games on December 19, 1917, goalies were not even allowed to drop to the ice to make a save. That night, the Montreal Wanderers beat Toronto, 10-9, while the Montreal Canadiens beat the Ottawa Senators, 7-4. Joe Malone, who would score 44 goals in just 20 games played in 1917-18, had 5 goals for the Canadiens. Harry Hyland netted 5 for the Wanderers, while Reg Noble notched 4 for Toronto in a losing cause. 3 nights later, the Canadiens scored an 11-2 victory over the Wanderers, while Toronto beat Ottawa, 11-4. Requiring goalies to remain standing was not the only reason for such high scores, but the rule changed quickly. On January 9, 1918, Frank Calder, the president of the N.H.L., sent the following message to team managers and referees. While perhaps not the game changer that forward passing became, it is hard to imagine modern hockey without goalies being allowed to leave their feet. Credit for the rule change has often been given to Clint Benedict, a Hall of Fame goalie with the Senators. Benedict's habit of dropping to his knees to stop the puck had led Toronto fans to mockingly call him Praying Benny. It was against the rules then, Benedict told the Ottawa Journal in 1962, but if you made it look like an accident, you could get away without a penalty. I got pretty good at it. Goalies would have wanted to avoid penalties, they served their own penalties until the 1941-42 season, forcing their teammates to guard the net in their absence. Still, it seems that Art Ross, best known today as the namesake of the N.H.L's scoring trophy, was the man behind the rule change. Ross's lifelong friends Frank and Lester Patrick had changed the goaltending rule in the rival Pacific Coast Hockey Association. Ross liked the modification and introduced it for the 1916-17 season in the Art Ross Hockey League, an amateur organization he led in Montreal. Ross had been one of the top players in hockey since the winter of 1905-06. The 1917-18 season would be his last as a player, and a few days before the start of the N.H.L's inaugural campaign, he spoke about changing the rules for goalies. Ross, then 32, pointed out that any other player could drop to his knees anywhere on the ice even if he found himself guarding the net with his goaltender out of position. 3 weeks after the start of that first season, the N.H.L. made the switch to allow goalies to drop to the ice. Ross's Montreal Wanderers had already withdrawn from the league, but newspapers in Montreal and Ottawa noted that he can enjoy a measure of moral satisfaction from the fact that a suggestion made several weeks ago has been officially adopted by the National Hockey League. The former Maple Leafs great Johnny Bower, the oldest living N.H.L.